I think that
Whatever.
I think everything is really crazy. What I think is crazy. I think that everything is the same thing. And it's just different versions of it. Everything is water. Everything is light, matter, water.
Are you high right now?
All the same thing, just different vibrations.
And everything vibrates. And ultimately, we have to become masters of vibration to work through the dimensions of this plane. This is the third dimensional plane. So this physical,
Whatever.
physical, this is the physical plane. Now, if we close our eyes,
Whatever.
and we envision something, our brain doesn't know the difference between a thought and actual reality.
You go, girl.
So I would say the creator exists beyond it, like within it maybe, but
Which one is it then?
yeah, that's what I think. I have heard that about like how all these seemingly like divine properties of water. You can attribute all kinds of things to water, like it morphs around any situation, like it always adapts to the situation. It seems to there is no way to get rid of it. It's perpetually in a cycle as if it were omnipresent.
This is what it is, okay? I said empty your mind.
He's got that covered.
Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
And outside
Everyone
of,
dies when people die, it's because of dehydration. Even if you're shot, it's the water leaving your body.
What about if you drown?
You know, if you don't have water, you're dead. Everything. Water's delivered everywhere angelically. I don't know.
Or they will say things like, dark matter 100% exists. We know for a fact that dark matter has to exist, but we don't know what it is. So, how could you know it exists?
So I don't agree with people making claims about ether and exactly what it is, and even the name.
So, how could you know it exists?
You hear that, Mr. Anderson? That is the sound of inevitability.
And we're off. Welcome to the show. Natural science and the scientific method. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. Shout out to beautiful Betty Van Velsen, Betty Ballbreaker, who won't be joining us today. She has an appointment that she couldn't get out of. She says howdy. See you next week. So let's roll on over to Discord. I seen a whole mess of people in there right before I got online. I was a little late, but the show's never late. Let's see who we got in there. I know the Adam Meekin is in there, isn't he?
He is indeed. Evening, QA. Evening, everyone.
Hello, Mr. Italy.
Buonasera, Mr. QE. I'm a bit worried because I can't even look for the vast amount of super chats that are going to come in tonight because I'm having to do this on my phone in Italy. So if Betty's not here, Maybe Righteous might have to step up or leave it to you.
Leave it to me. How can I do that when I'm presenting?
That's what I mean. Righteous, can you help?
Yeah.
You're a gentleman, sir.
Go ahead.
But maybe like give me like 15 minutes or something like that. Like I started a match. So as soon as I'm done that, I'll keep an eye on the YouTube chat. Okay.
I'll keep an eye on it. I just won't be able to. I'll catch him after I get done with the presentation. It's okay. He doesn't have to catch him. I'll catch him.
Well, they don't give it up. It gives you ultimate power to interrupt Righteous at any point. Yeah, and you can have fun.
You can't interrupt during the presentation, though.
You can't. Well, depends how big the super chat is, isn't it?
Possibly.
You get a $50 super chat. You're not going to take an interruption. I think I would.
I do like that color. We already. For some reason, it's that week. Betty and I were talking about that during the week. I said, you know what? I really like that color for some reason. I can't pinpoint it. So yeah. So what you got for us today from Italy? You already sent me some pictures of lasagna and prosciutto, right? Is that what you had?
Yeah. Today was Ferragusto, which is just a bit of learning I've learned today. Just 5 minutes if I can bore you all.
No. I don't want you to bore us just yet. I want to talk about the lasagna and the prosciutto for right now.
So I won't go into the detail of why people are eating such beautiful food today. It's a bit like everything stops today. The shop's shut, but like on a Christmas day, and everybody gathers and has a lovely meal, except those that work in restaurants. So I missed the main course, the secondi piatti, which was you had a choice of lamb or pork grilled steak, and I had a lot of wine by then. And the day was wearing on, so I forgot to take the photo of that. But the first two courses, the antipasti and then the primi piatti, I sent you so you could share them. Yeah, beautiful, lovely selection.
Did you want me to share them live?
We like a little bit of. I know Nathan likes us when we're talking about food. That's why I sent him, just so he could visualize what he's saying. So
see.
really nice little plate of cured meats. The food is so good.
Am I going to have to share this? Yeah, because you'll be delayed. Okay, 1 second.
I can't do it.
Stop streaming and then share your screen.
There you go.
Hold on. I didn't shift it over yet. 1 second. All right, where are you at? Where's this at? I think I got it. All right, here we go. All right. Please speak to what's on your plate.
Well, I'm trying to remember it, but you got a little mozzarella balls, a little bit of courgette and cheese, and then you got a lovely selection of different cured pork products, beautiful salamis. The nicest one, the local one, is I think it's the one that will be in about the 2 o'clock position, which is a local salami called Ventricina, which is really spicy and beautiful. Really, really nice. Yeah, it's got loads of. Locally, they have these things, Altino, town around the corner, and they have the peppers there. So they dry them all out, and they're kind of a sweet but very nice chili. So that all goes in the local salami. So that's the local one, and then you've got a selection of Italian standard product, nice bit of cured ham.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the nice one, the white one, that's just called lardo, which is just cured fat, basically. Oh, that's so tasty.
What? Which one? This little circle thing right here?
Yeah, a little white one, because it's spiraled a little bit. But
yes.
It's just like the fat off of bacon, but it is just the fat. You might see a tiny bit of meat in it, but pretty much it's just cured fat, and it's so tasty. So that was the start.
All right. This was just the start.
That was your antipasti, your pre-first course.
Okay. You want to go to the next one?
Yeah, so primi piatti is the next one, which is your pasta course. That is the best lasagna.
This is lasagna, sir.
Yeah.
And
Well, I should have got-
ironically, now wait a second. Ironically, my wife makes lasagna, right? And she just made a whole batch for me like 2 days ago. And what we do, we eat it that night, but she saves like 6 to 8 hunks of it and puts it in the freezer. And then I just peel it out during the next week and a half, and it gets better every single day. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
You don't qualify lasagna as a bunch.
We're upsetting the Italian now.
But this has some serious pasta in it, man. Look how many layers you got going. Now, to harken back to my childhood days, my mom used to make it not with pasta, but with zucchini. So there would be zucchini layers, fried zucchini. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll put hair on your chest.
Well, this is what I wanted to get to, because Neil's here as well. So if you see that, when we've bastardized it in the UK, we don't have anywhere near that many layers in.
Sure.
So many layers, tiny thin amounts of little ragu through it. But when we're in the UK, we'll either put a cheese sauce layer in or a bechamel sauce layer in.
Huh.
It's not in there, bro. No. The only thing that was in that was just ragu, and then one layer, probably 2 or 3 layers in all of that, had just lovely mozzarella in it.
Sure.
So no bechamel sauce, nothing. And then it's cooked blind, and then it's covered with more passata, and then sprinkled with fresh cheese on the top. So,
sure.
But it's the amount of layers that I couldn't get past. How many?
This looks
85% of that.
This looks absolutely delicious, man. As soon as you sent this to me, I just remembered last night, because that's what I got home late, and I said, let me have some lasagna. And I didn't want a really big piece like this monster, right? I can't eat the way I used to anyway. So, but I had a small piece, about half of this, and I almost ate the plate. But my wife, what she does, she put cheese layers in here too, right? Along with leafy spinach, and leafy spinach on top, mixed with my spaghetti sauce. By the way, mine, the one that I made in 1995, and she's taken it to a new level. So I just wanted to share. Sorry for taking over. I love lasagna. I love spaghetti sauces. Carry on, Adam. Sorry.
Well, there's not much more, because like I said, I forgot to take the pictures of the next few courses, which was, I say, a lovely bit of grilled pork, green salad. I had a couple of chips, but I'm getting really full by this point.
Yeah, I imagine so.
And I have to say, I turned down dessert. The boys had their dessert, as always. Nice bit of cheesecake.
I can't do that, man. I'm not a dessert guy. Only specific ones, and I don't eat them at dinner. No way. No chance, man.
No, I was done by then, and like I say, unless I'm still hungry, there's no way I'm having a pudding. My wife had and my sister-in-law, they had a beautiful, lemon. It's like a slush puppy, but it's not ice cream. It's what's granita type thing. That was very nice. I had a little slurp of that.
Hold up, Adam.
I followed it up with,
Hold up, Adam. I got a super chat.
Oof.
Unit Talk Spemu, and you are asking Adam about Italy? I'm jealous. Yeah, sure. Yep. There you go. Back to you, Adam. I'll interrupt you here in another 5 seconds.
I'm happy to be interrupted with super chats. Yeah, I finished that, and then I finished it off with a lovely, nice little macchiato. So espresso with a teeny bit of frothy milk, but still an espresso, really, with a bit of head. And a lovely local liqueur called ratafia, which is made from cherries. So beautiful, perfect digestive after all that. Then I came home and kicked off on Flat Earth debate. So a lovely Ferragusto.
Did you say espresso?
No, espresso. It's not fast. It's pressed.
I thought you were expressing yourself.
No. That's chavbot language, isn't it? Yeah. Can I have a really fast coffee? That's
Hey,
no X.
Express yourself. So somebody made that error. I don't know who that was before.
No need to hold to it. No, but I think if you get laughed at, or just assumed that you're English, can have a fast coffee.
Hold on. Put a cork in it, Adam. Shatner's bassoon super chat. We're getting it rocking already, man. Spaghetti with clam. Yeah, spaghetti with clams in limon. Is that limon? In July is perfect.
Yeah, spaghetti vongole. They do that down here. Some beautiful dishes. Because we have a little good Il Bucanieri, and it's, check these prices out. So it's €15, which is what? Probably about $15, isn't it? And you get a nice pasta course like that, spaghetti vongole or pasta ragu. I always love it when they do beautiful rice dishes as well. But yeah, one of those courses, then a meat course with a bit of contorni, so either a salad or chips or whatever, pudding, and half a carafe of house wine. €15, mate.
Yeah, that doesn't sound all that bad, Adam.
It's not worth cooking.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Now
you do eat a lot. That's the trouble.
Back to the clams. I'm not a big clam guy. Now, spaghetti with you don't ruin spaghetti. You just keep it spaghetti. That's just me.
If you get the clams in it, or
can I say?
Hold on a second. Let Adam finish, and then you can follow up. Go ahead, Adam.
So all of those dishes, it's all about the pasta because it's about filling you up before you get your smaller amount of meat. It's called cucina povera. The poorer. It's the way of eating. If you pour in it, you fill up first on the carbs.
Yes.
And then you're quite full by the meat arrives. So all of those, whether you've got vongole in it or little shrimps, they're all really just the same as the ragu. There's tiny little bits of meat in there, but there's not a lot. It's just basically sauce and pasta. You don't even have to bother to eat the clams. It's just a different flavour it infuses for that pasta. That's nice.
I got you now. Okay. Yeah. All right. Who was Rumpus and Adam before that? They want to add something?
Sasha.
Go ahead, Sasha.
Pasta, John, it's this. You have like 1,000 different kind of pasta in Italy, different of regions. That means every flavor, what you put, like Adam described very well, it's only that flavor, and they call that with the names. That means it could be ragu, it could be carbonara with eggs, but it's only that a little bit of flavor. Its all point is that pasta, you know.
Gotcha. Yep. What did you say? Pasta Bolognese? Is that what you said?
No, I say carbonara.
Oh, okay, carbonara. Yep.
They're the sauces, but regionally you'll have your own pasta shape. Here is called guitarra. So the way you make guitarra is you roll your pasta out thin like a lasagna sheet, and then you lay it over guitar strings and put a roller over the top so it pushes it through the guitar strings. So you end up with square-shaped spaghetti called guitarra.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't know that. That sounds pretty cool. They're getting creative.
It's the shape of the pasta also, John.
See,
sure.
Most of them, it's telling you what's the shape of the pasta, or the name, and then it's like the meal. It's called also like that kind of pasta together. You can have ragu with spaghetti, ragu with tagliatelle, ragu with blah blah blah.
So is it based on the region, the shape, or just the type of pasta?
The region, it's making different kind of flowers and shapes.
Okay. Yeah.
For
gotcha.
the flower, yeah.
All right, Adam, go ahead with there's something interesting happened over there before we get to the science presentation. You want the floor for a few minutes?
Well, just a little bit, because like I say, when I've learned something, and I'm more infused with learning about Jesus and history and stuff. So like I said, today's called Ferragosto. Actually, it's a celebration of foods that you have, but you gather because it's what's called over here the Assumption of Mary. And that was the video I sent you. So I was just wandering around last night because, like, pre-Christmas Eve, there's a special service, and I just popped in. One of the most beautiful sounds. I was just walking. We'd had a couple of drinks in the square before we were going for tea, and this in a Tessa. And we're just walking back to the car to, head down for tea, and you could hear this noise. It was beautiful. It might be worth playing. So you've only 5 seconds of it because it's
Oh,
it's a
man,
sound
I
that
just
made me...
switched my screen.
Oh, shit, you over screen.
All right, hold on.
It is worth it.
All right, hold on.
So this is,
I got to share it, though. I got to go back. See, I got to go back into Discord.
Now, in the after show today, I was reminded that this is Catholicism, and that's what I was looking into, not something. I was brought up in a Pentecostal environment. Catholicism has its own set of special rules, which I'm unaware of, but I find quite interesting, especially when you see people celebrating things like this today. If you've got the noise, play the noise, because this is the thing that bothered me.
I'm going to play the video. Just 1 second. Give me a moment.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so when that's ready.
I got to share it with you guys so everyone in here can see it and hear it. Instead of waiting for 20 seconds, we don't want to do that. So hold on 1 second. That's not working. 1 second, please. I think I got it. All right. How long you want me? It's 46 seconds.
Yeah, just play it all. It's very brief. I literally popped in because I was like, what is this? Wow. What can I hear?
You're not going to copyright strike me, are you?
I don't think I would bother.
There you go, Adam. Thanks for the pictures of the benches and the purses. Appreciate that.
I didn't want to feel overly invasive. It was the sound I went for, so I wasn't, because they were in the mid service.
Yeah.
I can feel that now through my phone. It was, I don't know if people can, but the resonation, the way the sound's in there, it was really quite captivating. That's what dragged me in. Worth sharing. Amazing experience. That was just the prelude. I would like to just, if I could, just read a little bit of what today was about and the learning I've got.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I say this is a Catholic tradition, and this is one of the 4 main Marian, as in related to Mary, dogmas of the Catholic Church. And strangely, this one isn't instituted until 1950. Okay, which is by Pope Pius. Mary, having completed the course of her early life, her body was assumed, was assumed body and her soul into heavenly glory, which is the interesting thing I found about today, and that's why I was a little intrigued. Very few people whose bodies go to heaven. I think we've got Elijah, Enoch, yeah.
Other than what, Adam? You got cut off. Adam Meakin. Lost 1, this is lost 3. Are you lost 2 over?
Can you hear me over? Lost 2?
Yeah, we got you now. You're going to have to start over.
Where did we get to?
The Assumption of Mary. And you were reading.
Okay. Okay, so did I tell you what the Assumption of Mary was?
Not fully. So start over with your reading.
Okay. Well, it might be cutting out because I'm trying to read this from my phone. So just shout at me again if you hear any loss. I'll have to keep jumping back between apps. But the main point of this was that Mary, having completed the course of her earthly life, her body and her soul was assumed to heaven, taken to heaven, which is quite a statement in Christianity, which is why I found this interesting. There's only a few other people in all of...
Hold up a second. In Catholicism, not in Christianity. Please continue.
No. There's only... Okay. In relation to Christianity, yeah, there's only a few people that has happened to, those being, I think, Elijah, Enoch, and obviously Christ, who has control over the physical. But those that had their body and were taken didn't die. And there's a slight nuance here, you know what I mean, in terms of Mary. That was why it stood out to me. And I've not got a great big point here to make, but just the fact that I've noticed it. There's 3 other points, and I'll do them in chronological order that are the doctrine of Mary, just to finish off. So that, and I think they're all lovely. The first is her perpetual virginity, which is decreed by the Synod of Milan in 389. And this is the perpetual virginity of the Mary. It means she was a virgin forever and ever, but importantly, it means that Mary was a virgin before, during, and after giving birth. That was the first doctrine of Mary. The second, by the Council of Ephesus, is that she's the mother of God. This is probably more contentious, but worth reading. Mother of God. Not that the nature of the Word or his divinity received the beginning of its existence from the Holy Virgin, but that since the holy body, animated by a rational soul, which the Word...
Adam, you cut out again.
God, damn it. Yeah, it's almost like I'm being jinxed from on high from reading this. Who knows?
Yes.
Am I back?
It's not a jinx.
It's
for a purpose. Go on.
Well, maybe just a sign. I'll finish it. The mother of God, not that the nature of the Word or his divinity received the beginning of its existence from the Holy Virgin, but that since the holy body, animated by a rational soul, which the Word of God united to himself according to the hypostasis, was born from her, the Word is said to be born according to the flesh. And the final one, see, that was in 431. The third one, after Assumption, is in 1854, which is the Immaculate Conception, that Mary, at her conception, was preserved immaculate, not in the virginal state, but from original sin, which I find the most contentious of all of those things, from a Christian point of view. And I'll end it there.
Well, thank you, Adam.
Pleasure. I'm done. It was nice to share that because it's stuff I've never ever known or bothered to research before. But to simply say, like, it's a very big day here, certainly regionally. So there's a lot of respect paid to it. And to her, I didn't notice any worship, like in a Mohammedan sense of her. And that was always what you always used to think when you view Catholicism, that there's a level of worship. I think it's the best I would describe it as a thorough appreciation of her, and a distinguishment that she was just a human being like us. which is why I said the final point is the most contentious, that she was free of original sin to be able to be the vessel to carry him.
I found them all to be quite contentious.
Didn't surprise me in the slightest. But like I said, the third one was the one that I found most intriguing.
All right, fair enough.
But thank you for humouring me. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah. Are you leaving now?
No, I'm gonna wait till you go round, and because I've run out of wine, so I've got to nip downstairs because they're watching a film. So I was just going to mute for a second, surreptitiously, before I was called on it.
Yeah, go ahead. You're fine. Let me get my act together here, because I got to get rid of. Yep, stop streaming that and start streaming this. All right, let's see.
I'm surprised Nick hasn't said out. I thought he'd be chirping in there with a little bit of Italian history. Has he disappeared?
Who?
Neil. Where's he gone?
Neil isn't Catholic.
No, but he's Italian. I've been sending him all sorts of updates during my holiday.
Yeah, you sent me an update a couple days ago with Wagyu beef from Italy.
Oh, you see. So I wasn't paying for it because it was €10 per 100 grams. But the thing there is, you can't just have like 300 grams. You've got to have at least 800, or the chef won't cook it. He says, don't cook that meat like that. The only way I'm cooking it is properly, or don't have it, or share it. So it would have been close to €100, really, for me to have. And like I said, I tried it before, a bit fatty, but I did. I thought I'll send you a picture, pal.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
I was lying when I said I'd posted you.
Yeah, I know. Thanks. Appreciate that. All right. I think all these people showed up. Not a lot. I wonder why. For the nature of science and the scientific method, right? We're in the part. Is it part D? I think it's part D. If I'm not mistaken. Who cares? So we're going to get into that. I might do something. I might clip portions out of it. We'll see when we get there. I think one part of the subject or an aspect that I went into is no longer really a player. I haven't heard it because I dashed it out quick back in the day, but I still kept it in the presentation just in case. I might go over it.
Mention it.
Sorry, say again. Go ahead.
Mention it, because look where we've been this week. Look at Nathan's show today. We're still discussing with supposed academics what the scientific method is. So I think, even if it's dubious, it's worth looking at every single bit of it, because fundamentally that's where we're back again today, isn't it? I know you've been doing it for weeks, but look at what we're critiquing. People not understanding the scientific method, yeah, and its purpose.
That was a
joke.
joke.
Doesn't do.
That was a joke. I went back because I woke up late. I went back after the after never after show, and I said, let me view the beginning of the show. I'll just flip through, and then I come to the spot where you got this TED Talk guy. He's putting on an air like he's a scientist or something. He puts up the scientific method, and the first step is identify a problem. I was like, oh, brother, here we go. Yeah, identify a problem. Yeah, I just identified the problem. It's you. That's what I just identified. Now what we going to do? Where do you get that from? Science Buddies? And then it was ask a question. He got that from Science Buddies, man. Yeah, that cracked me up. Yeah.
You can almost forgive ask a question, right? Because, okay, you could almost say, yeah, what is the natural, ask a question about a natural phenomenon. What is that? Why does that do, you know? You could forgive that, but identify a problem is fundamentally not a phenomena, is it? This is never is. Yeah, well, maybe an earthquake. That's a problem, I suppose.
Problem. This is what I was told by a baller. How come all different dictionaries and whatever else that they're pulling information from, the only one that has the scientific method like QE is QE? So I was told, isn't it? Don't you wonder why?
I don't think so.
Said, yeah, I wonder why. You ain't all paying attention.
I don't think so. I think I went over the scientific method from the University of Rochester physics labs. I went over that in the beginning.
No, they're talking about what they pull up from Wiki and Science Buddies and all the quick, immediate, go-tos.
So they pull that. I'm not seeing your point.
In other words, they're saying, why is yours the only one like that?
It's not, and that's what I said, Neil. I went over the one from the University of Rochester Physics Labs and Anne-Marie Helmestein, PhD, Biomedical Sciences. So I'm not the only one.
I know that. They don't know that.
That's what I said. That's why I just debunked that nonsensical
They ain't pulling
claim.
that shit out of nowhere.
No, we all learned it in grade school. Some earlier than others, depending on when you went to school. Mine was definitely 5th grade. I remember it. I remember the day. Boy, that was a long time ago. That's when we had chalkboards. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I said, it's not a mystery, right? It follows logically. We're going to get into that here today, I think. If I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but we'll see. All right, let's just do it. How about that? Instead of playing around.
Let's go.
Let's see where I stopped. I think I stopped right there. If I'm not, because I put a little, they were never scientifically valid to begin with. Yes, I did. So, we'll go over scientific theories as opposed to what they're equivocated with, and that's a fallacy, by the way, equivocation fallacy. The colloquial use of theory. Yeah? So the colloquial use of theory is a mere conjecture or a guess. That's not a scientific theory. From Chemistry About, scientific theory summarizes a hypothesis or group of hypotheses that have been supported with repeated testing. Boy, that sure doesn't sound like that, does it? So when people conflate colloquial theory with a scientific theory, it's called an equivocation fallacy for everyone listening. A scientific theory from quarks to quasars consists of one or more hypotheses that have been supported with repeated testing. Echoes the first one. From the university, back to the University of Rochester Physics Lab. A scientific theory represents a hypothesis or a group of related hypotheses which has been confirmed, that's proved, through repeated experimental tests. Again, echoes from the first two above. From Scientific American, a scientific theory is an explanation. No, it's, well, that it is. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about a hypothesis. Forgive me. A scientific theory is an explanation of some aspect of the natural world. See that? Natural world that has been substantiated. That means proven through repeated experiments or testing. That's redundant. Experiments are tests. So, you can't have an actual scientific theory without it already being validated or confirmed by experiment. Hypothesis tested. And you can't have math or equations for a flippin' scientific theory. So when people come on and say, my theory is this, and then work backwards, you know they're full of crap, right? Because that's not where it starts. It all starts with the observed natural phenomena. Then hypothesis construction, then hypothesis testing, which is experiment. That order. Can't go backwards. So I told you this logic in the scientific method was coming up. So the scientific method is conducting conducted using two and only two some forms of logic. That is, number one, abductive, and number two, deductive. That's it. All right. Now, the result of the experiment has nothing to do with logic. Just how you get there to the experiment and how you conduct the experiment, that's where logic ends. I hope everyone follows that. It's very important. Right? Logic has nothing to do with the outcome. It's non sequitur to it. So, here comes the cowbell. So, I just made a claim. Now, my next statement is going to be as evidenced by. A lot of people, you need to develop that mantra and that little sequence of events there. So, here's the cowbell. Abductive reasoning from explorable.com. They're a research organization. A number of facts from a multitude of sources, such as literature reviews. Where have we heard that before? We're going to see it down below again. I'm going to point it out. And general observations are gathered together. After an assessment of this information, the most likely hypothesis to explain, not explain, it's a supposition, the observation is adopted as the starting point of research. Abduction is seen very much as the starting point of the research process, giving a rational supposition, not explanation, allowing deductive reasoning to dictate the exact experimental design. You see it in there? Literature reviews, observations, hypotheses. You see this? This is all part of abductive reasoning. Where have we seen that before? Those three. So abductive reasoning is employed to establish, number one, observations, number two, literature reviews, number three, hypothesis. And deductive reasoning from .co, oldphysicsabout.com, is more narrow and is generally used to test or confirm hypotheses. So what they're saying is experiment. So abductive reasoning, the first three, deductive reasoning, the experiment. Everyone follow that. Like I said, where have we seen that before? Uh-oh, QE's scientific method. You see them? 1, 2, 3. Abductive reasoning. Observe a phenomena, literature review, construct formal hypothesis, and then deductive. Yeah, you see? Fits like a glove, as it should. Yeah? So, abduction, no conclusions are drawn. That is, it's observing phenomena, literature reviews, and educated guesses. That's hypothesis construction. Then deduction. You see how these abduction, deduction, and induction? These are called inferences in logic. Only the first two are used in the scientific method. Deduction is general to specific. It leads to certainty. Experiment. All A are B and all C are A. Therefore, all C must be B. As an example. As opposed to the other form of inference, induction. From specific to general, it leads to probability or likelihood. Most A are B and this C is A. Therefore, this C is likely B. Not that it is B, or not that it caused B, that it is likely B. This does not appear in natural science whatsoever, that type of inference. It's baloney. I'm going to show you below the king of the philosophy of science telling you exactly that. From Lumen Learning, this is important. The difference between abductive reasoning and inductive reasoning is a subtle one. Both use evidence to form guesses that are likely but not guaranteed to be true. However, very important word right there. However, there's going to be a change here, so get ready. Abductive reasoning looks for what? Uh-oh, cause and effect relationships. See, that gave the game away, didn't it? While induction seeks to determine general rules. Well, we don't really care about that. We care about cause and effect. Why? Because that's what natural science is all about. From Lowell C. becoming a successful scientist from Cambridge University, a scientific hypothesis is based on what? Cause and effect reasoning. Uh-oh, we're into abduction. A scientific hypothesis does not merely state X and Y may be related, but explains why they were related. From Drexel University, the scientific method is hypothesis-driven. One makes an educated guess to explain, not explain, because it's a hypothesis, a supposed cause and effect relationship. Everyone seeing it now? From Anne-Marie Helmstein, PhD, Biomedical Sciences, a hypothesis is an educated guess based on observation. It's a prediction, new word, prediction of cause and effect. So a hypothesis is a prediction of cause and effect. All centered around abduction at this point. I think everyone's got it who can fog a mirror. California Institute of Technology physicist Sean Carroll arguing in The Edge that hypotheses aren't simply useful tools as a potentially outmoded vision of science. They're the whole point. So if hypotheses are the whole point and they are cause and effect relationships, so they spring out of abduction. So abduction is the whole point. Yeah, see how I did that? Abductive is causation, hypothesis construction. Deductive is experimentation. This is the foundation of natural science. The bedrock foundation. As opposed to inductive or induction, correlation, probability, likelihood. Everyone knows that correlation doesn't equal causation. You've been taught that from second grade, maybe third grade. Yeah, this is the basis of pseudoscience. Now, very important point here. If it is not claiming itself as science and goes ahead with their correlations, probability, and likelihoods, that doesn't mean they're pseudosciences because they're not pretending to be something they're not. However, if they claim they are scientific and conducting scientific research and you see these, then they are pseudosciences by definition. It's a subtle point, but important. Everyone got that? And finally, I'm going to show you where even in their own paradigm, we're jumping inside their own fairy tale paradigm right now. And I'm going to use one of their top experts to demonstrate my point. From the King Cheese, philosopher of science. Everyone knows who he is. Karl Popper, right? You've heard ballers state this name, but that's the only thing they get right. They have no idea, and I know I'm using a stereotype fallacy. I have yet to hear one baller who says Karl Popper know anything about the gentleman's work, his concepts, or principles. Not one. Ever. Not saying that there isn't one out there, but I've never heard it, and I've been around the block a few times. So, what does he say about induction? From Karl Popper, Conjectures and Refutations via Wiki. As mentioned in the section, The Problem of Induction. There's a problem with it? Popper's response to the problem of induction, says it again, is simply that induction is actually never used in science. So, I don't know what the baltards are on about. They're that left-wing fuckwit faction that just makes shit up out of the blue. Because Karl Popper destroyed induction. Because it's probability or likelihood, like I said above. Whereas actual science is firm to the point, cause and effect, yes or no. 1 or 0. Again, from Conjectures and Refutations. Karl Popper, a philosopher of science, sought to solve the problem of induction. There's that problem again. He argued that science does not use induction. And induction is in fact a myth. So I don't know what to tell you out there, folks. This is pretty clear. So I've given you 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. See how it all follows? It all fits together like a glove? Yeah. Oh, boy. And you know what his poster child example of the problem of induction was? I'm asking this rhetorically because I've mentioned this many times, and I know a lot of you already know it. His poster child with the problem of induction is all swans are white. How you like that dovetail? Yeah. That's how it goes sometimes. Here's one game the pseudoscience priests are playing. Example, observe a natural phenomena. Sailors are crippled, bleeding gums, tooth loss, poor wound healing after long sea journeys. Possible causes, that is, possible independent variables, right? I just mentioned a few: prolonged exposure to seawater, inhalation of aerosol seagull droppings, prolonged exposure to swabbing the deck cleaning solution. I just made that up. Prolonged rolling and pitching of the ship. Because I'm a land lover, I don't know. I just took wild guesses. I'm sure they cleaned it with some type of solution. But I digress. Number 5, poor air quality, especially below deck, caused by smoke from candles, tobacco. You got mold, mildew, vapors from tar and waste in the bilges, and hydrogen and carbonic acid gases from the ventilation systems, right? You see, all these are possible independent variables in this scenario, right? What about what we don't know? That would pretty much expand this list exponentially, wouldn't it? Right? So what do? Well, A, we could do either A or B. A, do we pull a bevy of current scientists, quote unquote, and roll with what most think it is? Then call it science? Or B, do we test every possible cause that's read independent variable and validate the effect the dependent variable or prediction? That's science. Today's science, which is religion, paleontology, anthropology, archaeology, geology, evolutionary biology, whatever that is, and yes, I'm still laughing, theoretical physics, non-experimental, obviously, that's redundant, astrophysics, astronomy, and cosmology, what they do is they roll with the poll. They choose A, because that's all they can do. Like I said, because they are unable to validate, get the heck up there, dude. Because they are unable to validate or confirm anything by experiment. Then what they do, here's what they do. This is really clever. Then they say, what's the problem? Since transistors work, therefore spinning balls, multiverses, dark matter, evolution, Big Bang, billions of years ad nauseum are scientific facts. That's what they do. That's the Jedi mind trick. Unbelievable, man. Drunk Elmer Fudd is blushing in the corner after that little nonsense right here. Since transistors work, or reasonable facsimiles of it. Like what's her name? It just hit me. Sabine Hassenpfeffer, when she said that, well, the Earth's a globe because of reading glasses. That's what this reminds me of. You remember when she said that stuff. Maybe we'll go back over that video at some point, but that's hilarious. It dovetails with my statement above right here. So we did identify another word, prediction, above. That's funny. There was a lot of predictions going on Nathan's show today. I kept trying to stop people, mainly Adam, by using the term prediction out of context. Now, I understand what he's doing. It's hard. It's hard not to. If you keep on hearing prediction, it's hard, like atmosphere, right? If you keep on hearing it over and over again for years and years and years, it's hard to get it out of your vernacular. So, but there's a difference because there's something happening here again, just like it's happening with colloquial theory and scientific theory, because there's a difference between scientific predictions and Gene Dixon, Edgar Casey, Jimmy the Greek, Mystic Meg, Nostradamus, or Carnival Tent predictions. Or cyclical predictions, which are not predictions. Like watching a clock for 300 years and all of a sudden you predict right after 12, an hour later it's going to hit 1. That's just a repeating cycle. That's not a prediction, you morons. Right? So, scientific predictions, like I said. So, remember, Anne-Marie Helmstein, PhD, biomedical sciences. Words have precise meanings in science, right? So, this bugger's got to be defined. What are they talking about? From Colorado State, a scientific hypothesis is a special kind of what? Prediction that forecasts how the independent variable will affect the dependent variable. So, the prediction in this context, in science, the prediction is the hypothesis. The hypothesis is the prediction. Everyone get it? From Penn State University, the scientist applies his or her present knowledge to predict the effect of the independent variable on the dependent variable. What's that? Well, that's a hypothesis. The prediction is a statement of the expected results of the experiment based on what? Yeah, just like I said, the hypothesis. See how it dovetails? The prediction is often an if and then statement. Doesn't have to be. So, to have a scientific prediction, you must have an independent variable and a dependent variable. You can't get around it because that's what it is. In other words, a viable scientific hypothesis. Any questions with that, particularly about predictions? This is not rhetorical. We'll stop here for a moment. Might be less than a moment. Is everyone still out there? Let me check. Oh, yeah, we got people out there. People on, we get Discord, radio check. Lost 1, this is lost 3, or you lost 2 over.
Excuse me, can you explain the dependent
Mic check
and
is good.
independent variable?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks for the mic check. There was a question. Go ahead.
Can you please explain the dependent and independent variable?
Yes, the dependent variable is your observed natural phenomena. It's the effect. The independent variable is what you think is causing said effect. That's the hypothesis. Good? Good?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
I don't know. I lost contact. I interrupted at one point. The point I'll go back to is prediction.
I knew you would.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind playing Patsy. I often say when we talk about if I say the science of dosage form design, which is called pharmaceutics, you can write that on a book. And if you've got a level of intelligence, you can comprehend what the word science is being used in context there. It's the same if I'm talking about the positions of the stars. If you've got the comprehension that you can't science that unless you are going to vary the rotation of the stars, yeah, then if I use the word prediction with regards to the position of the stars, you should have the intelligence to know that that can't be science, so it has to be a colloquial term and cannot be conflated. And this is the power they're using, where they use the words and you, the listener, give the authority to it. And I'm saying sometimes I'll use that because I expect people to be able to make that differentiation after this many years of their own volition. So I don't mind being a patsy, but when I use it, if I was called on it, I'd quite happily qualify it, yeah? Because if I'm talking about the position and rotation of the stars, can I science that, people? Can I?
Stars on mute. No.
No. So, that's why it's really important to grasp this, so that we don't have to keep going Socratic, because the audience is intelligent enough to differentiate now, because it's that lack of differentiation that's mugged you off. So I'll continue to make faux pas, as people may perceive, because it's important. Call me up on a faux pas if you think it is, and then I'll address it if or concede the point. And I'll do that as well. But I think it's important to note that if you've got the understanding, and I'm not saying you don't, QE, And I say, I'm happy to play Patsy. Yeah. But if you can differentiate that, then you can get back past a little bit and not have to, what you hear in a lot of the debate channels, argue those points, because we should be better than that now. And this is the point of going through this, to me, why it's worthy of going through it. Because we've got to get better. And if we have to hold the ballers to it, fine. If we have to hold other fat earthers to it, fine. But we should comprehend it by now, guys. Jaron.
So you're using yourself as sort of a sacrificial lamb in order to demonstrate the point. This is on another level. Adam's taken one for the team. Not that he doesn't know what a prediction is, but he's using it colloquially so we can go ahead and point it out every time instead of just going over and giving everyone a superficial look at it. He's taken one for the whole team. This is sacrifice, people. Intellectual sacrifice. Selectual, selectual. What the hell does that mean? Selectual. Sacrificing himself on the altar so we can bring out the point and everyone can see and understand it. That's on another level.
I hope it makes the point. That's all that matters.
Can we get just a small round of applause? Yeah, I didn't think so.
It was very small, wasn't it? That was very
yes, it
small.
was.
I can't wait till Friday.
I can't wait till Friday, Neil. Jeez. Yeah.
Neil, this Friday I'm in love. I love Fridays.
Huh. All right. We ready to continue? I wasn't ready yet because I just took a bite of banana.
Bite the banana because I want to make another point.
Go ahead.
It's where I interrupted, but I realised you had us all muted, so it didn't matter if I interrupted. Inductive. In science, it's fucking useless. Excuse my French. Yeah. In medicine, it's not. Yeah. It may and imagine a crazy pandemic that you would look at the spread of it in one area. You could induce certain information to take precautions, etc. It may or may not be true. Yeah. It isn't. Or if we've got certain medical treatments, we could induce that this thing could benefit them. But not everybody's cured by it. Why? Because we're inducing it. It's not to say it doesn't necessarily work or sometimes come out with the result we're hoping for, but you're inducing it from a probability. That can be medicine, it can be psychology, but you induce it. Psychology is heading more towards the full pseudoscience and making shit up mode. But within medicine, it's not unusable as long as you realise what you're not achieving is a cause and effect. And that's not to say you can't use science in medicine, but medicine is very inductive. Yeah? If I give one person drug A and another person drug A, you don't get the same effect, even though I can science some bits of it. But if you are treating somebody, the induction part is the outcome. And that's where we have to recognise we're no longer giving people scientific guarantees. We're saying this is a probability. You'll hear medics, there's a probability this will work. And that's the point. It's not to say it's useless in its sphere of non-science, which isn't to poo-poo those spheres like pharmaceutics, like medicine, yeah, like other realms of technology. That induction can be very useful for getting you to somewhere. But at no point does it ever say this is a cause and effect relationship. And the ultimate point is that's what science is. So we should never, induction is not a part of science. It's not to say we can't use it, but please recognize it's not a part of the scientific method.
Thanks,
I
Adam.
think I'm done ranting now. Yeah.
Yep, I think that point's been stressed. So, all right, so we're gonna continue.
Was it Popper that was saying it as well? He's saying it from his viewpoint, but I don't hear anything. Yeah, he was literally talking about science and ruling it out. Is it Karl Popper? He cited? Yeah, and that's really important if you want to be a scientist and realize what scientist doesn't mean you wear a white coat. It means you elucidate cause and effect. If you elucidate that, Tony, Sleeping Warrior, as crap as that was, that's science, baby, unfortunately, because he elucidated a cause and effect. Yeah? Jennifer Aniston, and her shampoos is not cause and effect.
Didn't he have a white jacket on?
He did, just to add validity to the science he was about to show.
He was he was poking fun.
Exactly, because somehow if you put a white jacket on, doesn't matter what shit you chatter out your mouth, it means it's science, baby. But the thing that validated Tony wasn't the white jacket, it was the fact he showed a cause and effect relationship. And you've just got to remember that that's what science is. That's the power that you've been told it means. The validity it gives to your certainty in life. Cause and effect. Not induction, medicine. Medicine isn't science. I'm a bloody pharmacist, yeah? I don't do science. When we treat patients, we're not doing science. We're doing medicine. We're inducing things, yeah? There will be science behind the production and certain aspects of it that will validate it to bother in trying to give that inductive effect. But we're not doing science. Yet the media would have you believe that, you know?
I thought you already went over that. What are you going to tell them, then tell them again, and then tell them what you already told them?
No. I'm going to have you tell them what I told them again, and I'm going to have you reiterate that. Not that it's needed. Thank you, Sleeping Warrior again.
Yeah. All right, we're going to continue with the presentation, and Adam, I don't want you to go anywhere. This is one of the parts that I was going to skip because I was more or less putting this in here for Gem Panda's birds humping natural experiments. So I wanted to just give people background what natural experiments, observational studies, and field studies are. Do you think I should skip this, or you want me to go through it?
Skip not. No, because that's exactly what I was saying. This is important to make. I've just been going on about my field there, medicine. Yeah, but let's take it to those other ones. Make the differentiation. Yeah, but there's a reason people bothered initially to call it natural studies. Natural studies. Yeah, the intelligent people before we were all brainwashed made the differentiation. They didn't make a false claim. They didn't say the science of birds humping, the natural studies of birds humping. Yeah, because they weren't disingenuous. They weren't trying to add or steal valor. Yeah. So, I do think it's worth it because whether it's my field or this field, this is the point we're making.
I think Brian was trying to jump in there. I heard Brian's voice.
Yeah, I said skip nothing. I said skip nothing.
Okay, no skipping. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right, natural experiments, observational studies, and field studies. What are these monkeys? So let's get it right from their alma mater wiki. Natural experiments are a different type of quasi-experiment design. See, this raises an eyebrow right away because of that word. Used by researchers, it differs from person by treatment in a way that there is not a variable that is being manipulated by the experimenter. So right there, now that should have set the eyebrow raise. This one, you get the flamethrower out, right? Because what have we gone over for the past few weeks, right? It's all about natural sciences, all about testing variables. And in this specific case, the variable that's not being tested is the one that's manipulated, the independent variable. So they have no variable, independent variable, in their natural experiments, meaning that this word should be kicked out. They need to call it something else, natural studies, like Adam said. That would be okay. I wouldn't have a problem with that, right? Everyone say it. Yeah. Quasi, seemingly, apparently, but not really. So a not really experiment design. Yeah, synonym for quasi. Pseudo, meaning not real or genuine. Sham, spurious. Spurious. Thank you.
Well, before you move on,
oh,
and because I like a word, I like a word, and it's not just in, and this is where you have to realize where, and it's perfectly outlined in with respect to science, is not a variable that is being manipulated. Okay, so the term quasi here that's why it's quasi. At the most fundamental level, it's not scientific. That's why it's quasi. Right now, if you go to say the House of Commons, in Britain, there's been people get held up for things they say and do as MPs, and they go to a quasi-judicial. Right? Now, the quasi there is that there's no legal implications, right? But they still try to apply the same legal standards within the courtroom as they judge the person. But the quasi-ness is there's no legal implications. But it's done to those standards. And this is where they try to gain valor, because they'll say it's still empirical. Yeah, it's quasi in that sense. We're still trying to use the best equipment, time things, etc., etc. But just like with the House of Commons, in this judgment, there is nothing judicial within it. It doesn't sit in law. I'll read it again. In this scientific sense, it's quasi because it is not a variable that is being manipulated. I.e., there is no cause and effect relationship. So you can keep the standards in your experiment as high as you like, to the standard that you would expect in a scientific experiment, those standards. But if you're not manipulating any variable, that's why it's quasi. I think I've done that ramble.
Thanks, Adam. You told him again. From Craig P. et al., using natural experiments to evaluate population health interventions, from the New Medical Research Council, Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health. As soon as you see that word, then you know there's a rooster in the hen house. When it comes to science and natural science. So let's take a look at this. The term natural experiment lacks an exact definition. Yeah, that's a problem, right? Because remember, in science, we use precise language. How many times have I gone over that past few weeks, right? I just said it about 15 minutes ago, too. So there's no exact definitions, and many variants, it's mutated, are found in the literature. The common thread in most definitions is that exposure to the event or intervention of interest has not been manipulated by the researcher. Like the same one that said above, right? Red, I put this in there, it's in brackets. This is red, no viable independent variables, that equals no experiments. It's already over. It's done right there. I'll go on, though. Outside an RCT, that's a randomized controlled trial, it is rare for variation in exposure to an intervention to be random. So special care is needed in the design, reporting, and interpretation of evidence from natural experimental studies. See, that's non sequitur, experimental studies. It's a married bachelor, but I digress. And causal inferences by induction must be drawn with care. Natural experimental studies, there they go again, are more susceptible, I bet, to bias and confounding. Natural experimental studies are often recommended as a way of understanding the impact of population-level policies on health outcomes for health inequalities. Pay attention here. There are important areas of public health policy such as suicide prevention, air pollution control, public smoking bans, and alcohol taxation. I don't know. Does that sound like physics to you? What about biochemistry or biology? Yeah, this is jokes. Where natural experimental studies have already contributed a convincing body of evidence. Ooh-wee. Yeah, I am laughing. Is suicide prevention... Oh, that I said it below. Sorry about that. Is suicide prevention, air pollution control, public smoking bans, and alcohol taxation friggin' physics, chemistry, biochemistry, or biology? No. Not science, man. Not natural science. Back to we're going to observational studies next. From Hinkleman, Volume 1, Introduction to Experimental Design. Observational studies are not scientific experiments. Well, thank you very much. It's all over for them. We don't have to go any further, do we? Right? You can't have natural science without experiments. Observational studies are not experiments. Any? Yeah? It's got the same problem. By definition, observational studies lack the manipulation required for Baconian experiments. That's it. They lack viable independent variables. In addition, observational studies, for example, in biological or social systems, is that physics? Often involve variables that are difficult to quantify or control. Observational studies are limited because they lack the statistical properties. What? Statistical properties? That's induction. Probability or likelihood? Yeah, not science. Of randomized experiments. Randomized experiments? What the hell have we got ourselves into now? In a randomized experiment, the method of randomization specified in the experimental protocol guides the statistical analysis. Holy shit. Which is specified also by the experimental protocol. Ladies and gentlemen, if observational studies, see, they don't go by science. Everyone knows this isn't natural science. That's why they call them observational studies. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. The only time I have a problem with them when they say, this is natural science. This is validated empirically. No, it's not. You're a moron. And I could tell right away, anyone that brings these up have never attended even freshman studies at the community college in a natural science discipline. I already know that right off the bat. Right? Yeah. That's why you'll feel the wrath of quickly come down on you. Last one's field studies. They're not scientific experiments either. From their alma mater wiki. However, like natural experiments, field experiments suffer from the possibility of contamination. Experimental conditions can be controlled with more precision and certainty in a lab. Yet some phenomena, for example, voter turnout. Oh my God! This is voter turnout. Is that physics, folks? That's their example of a field experiment. Cannot be easily studied in a laboratory. This is just jokes, man. So, like I said, voter turnout is physics. You morons. By the way, you'd fail 5th grade general science. Thanks. Regards. How about that? So
that's a great example, Kiwi. One.
Go ahead.
You understand that's a great exemplar, because if you could have a cause and effect relationship for voter turnout, then if you could simulate the cause, then everybody would go and vote, wouldn't they?
This is it's non sequitur, man. You're tearing apart a non sequitur.
No, I'm only trying to highlight what they're claiming would be the science in voter turnout. Yeah? If A, then voter turnout. What is it? If crystal meth, then 100% voter turnout? that what you got to do to give everybody? I don't know. But if you want a cause and effect, that's what you're saying. If you're going to use this and describe it as science and then say an effect of voter turnout, even though you'll then say the effect is a percentage. And if you don't get that joke, go back to the beginning of the show and learn the scientific method.
Yeah, this is just jokes, man. So, but they got the words in them right. Boy, they can talk the talk, right? Boy, experiments. Now, to a numpty dipshit that doesn't know his ass from a pipe wrench, and he's out here in this genre, as soon as he sees this term right here, ooh, that's QE's ass, right? Ooh, failed experiments, natural experiments. That they got experiments in a QE, right? You're toast. You have no idea about the blast furnace that's going to come down on you. In my sleep. I don't know how. I knew of this stuff even before university. So that's giving you some insight into where these idiots are coming from, and it's Dunning-Krugerville. This is a really good topic. I love this topic. Why? Because this really grinds some actual scientists' nerves. There's been a few occasions where I've run into actual natural scientists in this genre, and I'll bring it up because I know I shouldn't bring it up. I have depends on my mood. If I want to set them up, depends on what's going on. If I'm busy or something, I won't do it. But just this one case is just jumping out at me. And this guy really had his act together. He had a degree in chemistry. And a lot of things that he was talking about, he's degreed in chemistry, for goodness sakes. He's got PhD in chemistry. He knows what he's talking about in chemistry, I have a couple degrees in that sort of discipline. We won't go there. But, everything that he was talking about, of course, this was off the flat earth topic, was lining up, right, as it should. So I had no problems. The only time I had a problem was when somebody brought up the second law of thermodynamics to him, and he thought that was science, natural science. And, I liked the guy. I thought he was very knowledgeable, but he thought that the second law of thermodynamics was natural science, and I had to put the boots to him. Now, I didn't enjoy it. I took no pleasure in it. All right? But I had to set him straight, and he didn't like it all that much. I don't think I talked to him after that. He kind of left the community. But I digress. We'll go over this because this, like I said, this is pretty important. So scientific theories, remember, they explain how and why the mechanisms and the process and identifies the cause. For example, like plant growth theory. Scientific theories are the result of validated, confirmed scientific hypotheses that have been rigorously tested. You guys know all this because I've said it about 25,000 times, including today. And in the past 7 years, you guys know what I'm going to say. I keep on repeating it over and over and over again. Okay? Yeah, I think you guys got it, right? As opposed to natural laws. They only describe, that is, the what's and the is's or existence. The cause is not applicable. If there's no cause being demonstrated, then it's not natural science. But it sounds sciencey, right? Because people say second law of thermodynamics, laws of physics and stuff. Yeah, they Jedi mind trick you with all that. But if we get down into precise language, it's all non sequitur. And that's what I'm showing you here. So how can descriptions of what's and is's, that is, what existence topics, how is that natural science after I just went through what natural science is with hypotheses and experiments when there are no hypotheses and experiments here? Well, it's easy. It's not natural science. Done. Natural laws are solely based on observations. They're often expressed mathematically. For example, second law of thermodynamics. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not natural science. With natural laws, the cause, the how, why mechanism are both nonsensical and invalid inquiries because it's just an is or ours. For example, how, why does heat flow from hot to cold always? That's a tenet of the second law of thermodynamics. Well, we don't know. And we'll never know. It's all we know every single time. It just does and is. Ergo, natural law. That's why they're called the laws of thermodynamics and not the theories of thermodynamics. Everyone get that? Yeah, there's reason for that. Natural laws.
Yes, yes.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
No, I was saying yes. There's been a lot of dead silence. So I'm letting you know. You spot on, bro. Keep going.
Thank you. Natural laws. This is another one I heard back in the day. The laws become scientific theories eventually. Poor dumb bastard. Natural laws never become scientific theories or vice versa. Each are domain specific. They have their own domains. There's no crossover. None at all. There's a chasm between the two. Unfordable chasm. They're domain specific inherently. What should be your next objection, challenge, or inquiry? What makes the laws of physics scientific, QE? There's an answer to that question. Natural laws, that is, laws of physics, that's how they're portrayed, are not scientific. They're merely descriptions, often expressed mathematically, like I said above, of plain old observations of nature. The scientific method is employed to elucidate and explain cause and effect, the hows and whys, not describe the whats and the ises. Just that simple. Right? So they can't be the laws of physics, because physics deals with natural science. Now, am I saying that the second law of thermodynamics is false? No, I'm not. All I'm saying is that they're not natural science. Natural laws only breach the first step of the scientific method. Observe a phenomenon. You can't formulate a scientific hypothesis because a viable cause, i.e. independent variable, doesn't exist. It's forever illusory. Go to Max Tegmark out of MIT. We humans, listen closely. We humans have gradually discovered many additional recurring shapes and patterns in nature, involving not only motion and gravity, but also areas as disparate as electricity, magnetism, light, heat, chemistry, radioactivity, and subatomic particles. These patterns are summarized by what we call our laws of physics. Huh? So has natural science become identifying patterns? I don't know. Do seamstresses identify patterns? Are they physicists? Back to Tegmark, back to Max again. When we look at reality through the equations of physics, what in the world is he smoking? You could see reality through equations? I'd like to see him demonstrate that little fiasco. Yeah, that's non sequitur, but I digress. When we look at reality through equations of physics, we find that they describe patterns and regularities. So that's what they are. His laws of physics are describing patterns and regularities. That doesn't sound like natural science to me. Therefore, the laws of physics are mathematical. Oh, good.
Patterns. See there, that's not probability. That is patterns. Natural law. Again. So if I vibrate this thing at a certain frequency, that's the pattern. Not there's a probability. I just think these are things that always happen. Outside of the equation of physics, whatever that means, I don't know. But we do find then we're able to describe patterns and a regularity to things. It doesn't mean we have the cause and effect, and that's the important bit. This is not science, is it? Nope. This is natural law. If we see these things always occurring, and that's why I wanted to make the word distinction there with pattern. It's not a probability function. it's what we see always, still, that pattern. And there are lots of patterns in nature, but they're consistent. And like I say, whether that's frequency-based or structural or get bigger, chemical, those patterns always exist. It's that repetition of things that always work. I think I've done rambling.
Yes, you are. Therefore, the laws of physics are.
Either disagree or not. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing, but I don't see an objection in that statement. I find that very encompassing.
I thought you were done.
No, I thought you were disagreeing. That's why
No,
I wasn't.
No, I wasn't disagreeing.
You just being there. Okay.
Just
Sorry.
being a bit cheeky.
I like your cheekiness. I missed it.
Therefore, the laws of physics are mathematical. They are descriptions of mere observations of the laws of nature, not the laws of physics. But wait a second. My son is a video game master champion. He can readily recognize and describe the recurring patterns and regularities present in the game, all the while being absolutely clueless about the underlying architecture software of the game. But he intuitively knows that the patterns and regularities in the game are not the cause of the game. And is my 10-year-old a scientist? That's funny. Why? Because my son's birthday was the other day. He's 17. So I wrote this 7 years ago. Number 2, how can the laws of physics, that is, descriptions of patterns and regularities in nature via equations, have anything whatsoever to do with the scientific method science, when the scientific method is solely based on hypothesis testing, which is only employed to explain cause and effect relationships, the hows and the whys? Oh, somebody challenged me last night with this. Some idiot with refraction. He had the gall to ask me the difference between what are descriptions and explanations. Boy, he fell right into that one. He went from the furnace right into the friggin' supernova. Back to second grade. Descriptions, they focus solely on what's and is's, while explanations focus solely on hows and whys. Yeah.
Was he 10 years old?
Emotionally and intellectually, yes.
We'll say, give him a pizza. All right. Say, can you describe that, and then can you explain it?
That's a bridge too far.
It's not a bridge too far. That's exactly. If you're that retarded, that we're having to explain the meanings of words to you. Yeah, you should be treated like a friggin' idiot. Yeah, that's shocking. And this is part of the bullshit humour, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some troll will turn up and say, describing an explanation. What's the difference? You know, if you don't know, we shouldn't be humouring these idiots.
Yeah.
They should be called what they are, idiots.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I trounced them. So there's kind of a big difference between describing something and explaining cause and effect, like actual hypothesis testing and experiments. Yeah, that's what it is. Watching heat flow from hot to cold or gases flow from high pressure to low pressure isn't an experiment. It's merely observing a phenomena. Have the laws of motion ever caused a single billiard ball to move across a table? The story begins and ends at the first step of the scientific method. Is that science? Nope. But we can predict. There's that word again. We can make predictions, QE. So after observing heat flow from hot to cold a few billion times, second law of thermodynamics, without fail, you scientifically predict, and genuflect, that if I set my scalding hot cup of coffee on the table for 20 minutes, it's going to get cooler? Wow, a seer. Thanks, Captain Obvious. You must be a scientist. A complete moron at the beginning of time could have reached the same conclusion in a coma. basket weaving is more scientific than quote unquote scientific laws. They just throw the term scientific in front of the word law by mere fiat without any warrant whatsoever. It's a turkey squirrel scenario. Then what do? Well, since heat flows from hot to cold always, describe it using equations, then pronounce from the rooftops, this is scientific law. Science. Ahem, genuflect. This is a second grade slick. It greases the skids for the propaganda efforts with Joe Coffey and Betty Breadmaker. Shout out to Betty. The masses of the scientific illiterate public to now put the term scientific in front of just about anything for veracity and validation. Evolution, big bangs, multiverses, black holes, gravity, gravy waves, dark matter, spinning balls, ether. See the game? I hope you can see it. In conclusion, file 13, the term scientific with law as a belly laugher, it's incoherent, doesn't fit. What they are simply natural laws. That's it. Yeah. Taking everything we've discussed above concerning science, the scientific method, and the empirical nature of it, then why are people arguing ad nauseum, that is never ending, over whether the earth is a sphere or a flat plane without quick resolution? That should be everyone's first clue that there's a rooster in the henhouse. Real dumbass rooster. Do people argue incessantly whether the lack of vitamin C causes scurvy or the lack of insulin with type 1 diabetes patients causes diabetic ketoacidosis? Yeah? You ever go in a hospital emergency room and have just knockdown, drag-out fights, arguments over this? No, they surely don't because they're empirical. They're validated by experiment. See the problem? You see it? Everyone say it? Quick resolution. Is the earth the sphere or a flat plane, a cause and effect question, or is it a concrete noun question or existence question? Yeah, it's an existence question. Key point, concrete nouns or what is existence questions are outside the purview of the scientific method. Only why and how questions based on observations of natural phenomena, first step, can be adjudicated or reconciled. We already went over this before. Lowell C., successful scientists, remember scientific hypothesis, cause and effect reasoning? Yeah. Yep. They merely state X and Y may be related, but explains why they are related. You have no viable X, so you have no Y. You see that? You see what I did there? So for concrete nouns, for example, is it a sphere or ball or a flat plane? Your only recourse is to attempt to explain the cause of either, which is moronic, right? So basically, each and every single train wreck proof of a sphere or flat anyone bumbles, stumbles, and fumbles with is a non sequitur fallacy, category error on nuclear steroids, because you have no viable independent variable, and number two, you have no coherent question. All are inane bollocks and boil down to, why is a bread box rectangular? True or false? See how stupid this is?
I'll just say bollocks again. Did you say it right?
Did I say it right? Bollocks.
Yeah, that's perfect. It is inane bollocks.
Sorry, do I have the correct emphasis on the correct syllable?
You get a very English thumbs up for that level of bollocks.
Fair enough. So why is a bread box rectangular, true or false? Go ahead and ask your friendly neighborhood baller that question. Every single claim from the Baltard spinning space monkey religion congregation is an affirming consequent form of logical fallacy. Every single one. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. Watch out. I think Rufy thinks this is modus ponens because he got them mixed up. So here's an example. If evolution is true, P, then insert any Darwinian grab bag post hoc observations, fossils, homology, similarity, genetic variation, and others, Q. 2, we observe post hoc observation, Q. Therefore, evolution is true, therefore P. That's classic affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. You need to be straitjacketed. Or, in our genre, if the spherical Earth with a radius of la 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 is true, P, we will observe. This is so funny. You know, I put this together how many years ago? 7 years ago. It hasn't changed. Still the same thing. Look at that. Elevation angles. I digress. If the spherical Earth...
And I'll pay kudos there. That's attention to detail. You didn't know the meaning. It's just attention to detail, and I like it. Or you didn't know the implication. You knew the meaning, but not how the implication would roll out after 5 years. But it's quality attention to detail, dude.
Yeah. I didn't. I just stumbled and bumbled right onto it.
I didn't say that, did I?
No, I did.
A compliment.
No, I did.
It's attention to... Yeah, but you only fumble and stumble onto it if you're bothering to pay attention to detail.
Yeah.
Words have meanings.
Yeah, because I always knew this was a fiasco to begin with. I should have put it together. I just did this elevation angle until later. Until the Black Swan. But anyway, if this is another example.
No, not really. Because I think I remember a presentation from Brian. It was about 15, maybe 17 days before you ever put this together.
Yeah, that could be true. So the point is, as we digress over and over again, that this little numpty right here is also an affirming the consequent form of logical fallacy. It goes something like this. If the spherical Earth ball-tard with a radius of la 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 is true, P, we will observe differing elevation angles to Polaris, Q. We observe differing elevation angles to Polaris, Q. Therefore, the spherical Earth ball-tard is true, therefore P. This is just a classic textbook affirming the consequent form of logical fallacy. And every argument that they have, if you break down arguments that you've been given or that you've heard before and write them down, go ahead, write them down. Sometimes they won't finish them completely. It's implicit. Their conclusion is implicit. They might just say this. They might even connect the Q statement down here. We observe. Right? But most of them are implicit. You'll see that every single last one is affirm the consequent form of logical fallacy. The logical fallacy is that P doesn't necessarily follow from Q. So I'm showing you how and why it's fallacious. For example, there's a lot of EGs in this presentation. Number one, if I had just eaten a whole pizza, P, I would feel very full, Q. I feel very full, Q. Therefore, I've just eaten a whole pizza, therefore P. Yeah, that's fallacious. Why? Couldn't I have eaten a 20-ounce ribeye with fries or the old 96er? Yes, I surely could have. That's why this nonsense is fallacious. See it? So, the moral of the story, prove the spherical Earth first, crown munchers. The game. I forgot about the game. Oh, this is going to get good. What we got here in Shangri-La is a screaming testimony documented over and over again of what happens as a result of what I classified back at that time as the game. Right? We have pseudoscience religions, astronomy, astrophysics, cosmology, paleontology, geology, anthropology, archaeology, evolutionary biology, whatever that is, and yes, I'm still laughing, theoretical physics. Like I said, crocheting is more scientific than all these clowns combined. Why? Well, neither of the masqueraders can follow the scientific method, science. Because the pseudoscience priests from the religions above know that Joe Coffey and Betty Ballbreaker, masses, a.k.a. ball-tard spinning space monkeys, not you, Betty, wouldn't know what actual science or basic reasoning was if it landed on their heads, spun around, and whistled Dixie. See, they know that about their target audience. The religions know that about their target audience. They can pretty much pontificate anything under the term science via clumsy equivocation fallacy and second-grade linguistic word game gymnastics and have their brain-dead religious hordes from their congregations mindlessly parrot bagak, any and all manner of blatant pseudoscience religious propaganda, i.e. fairy tales, that they hear directly from them or metric tons of sermons posted on their church's website. You know, Wiki Google and or 1,000 of their affiliate websites. However, when the pseudoscience priest or anyone from their congregation is directly challenged by anyone with a 5th grade general science acumen or better and or can fog a mirror, they then, without coherent rebuttal, call the challenger names, pick an appeal to ridicule fallacy, akin to the tactics employed on the 2nd grade playground, carpet bomb a barrage of logical fallacies, contradict themselves with every other breath, and muster their hordes and appeal to the consensus, another fallacy, of their pseudoscience congregationers and priests, and then rinse and repeat all this horseshit. It's simply pseudoscience religion. Duh! Parroted incessantly and by fanatical indoctrinated wankers spinning space monkey baltards that couldn't tell the difference between a Bunsen burner and a beach ball. Then they rail against religion with voracious anger, all the while being neck deep in one. Scientifically falsified religion, by the way. This is all mind-numbing fuckwittery. Thanks, Globetard Goobers, for perfectly illustrating over and over and over again. The end for the encore. Take a listen to this. This is from Singamano, Teaching and Propaganda, Physics Today, Volume 53, June 2000, page 54. Right from their own peer-reviewed horse shit. Listen closely. Professor admits physics professors brainwash students with propaganda. And I use that trust to effectively brainwash them. We who teach introductory physics have to acknowledge, if we are honest with ourselves, that our teaching methods are primarily those of propaganda. We appeal without demonstration to evidence that supports our position. Only introduce arguments or evidence that support the currently accepted theories and omit or gloss over any evidence to the contrary. We give short shrift to alternative theories, introducing them only in order to promptly demolish them, again by appealing to undemonstrated counter-evidence. We drop the names of famous scientists and Nobel Prize winners to show that we are solidly on the side of the scientific establishment. All of this is designed to demonstrate the inevitability of the ideas we currently hold, so that if students reject what we say, they are declaring themselves to be unreasoning and illogical, unworthy of being considered as modern thinking people. Of course, we do all this with the best of intentions and complete sincerity. I have good reasons for employing propaganda techniques to achieve belief. So I, like all my colleagues, teach the way I do because I have little choice. But it is brainwashing nonetheless. When the dust settles, what I'm asking my students to do is to accept what I say because I, as an accredited representative of my discipline, profession, and academia, say it. All the reason, logic, and evidence that I use simply disguise the fact that students are not yet in a position to sift and weigh through the evidence and arrive at their own conclusions. Let that marinate. The end. Questions, comments?
It says a while since I've heard that. It's more than 3 years ago, I think. It's applicable in not just science, but what's happening in the larger world. But I think what you've got there, it's almost like a deathbed confession, isn't it? From somebody that, and this is often the case when you get to the bottom of the cup. Yeah, God's waiting there for you. And that to me seems like a confession to me. Well, it is clearly, isn't it? But it is a very realistic thing of how we train people. Even within my profession, I think that's very descriptive of academia, to be honest.
Let me give an example.
Particularly the middle bit with the bullying. What was it? We give short shrift to the alternate theories, introduce them, and promptly demolish them. And I think that's quite powerful. That's how dissenting voices are done, and that's. I say it's not. That's not even relevant to society. It is just exactly what somebody at the higher level academia is admitting to what he does. Quite telling, isn't it? That and very poignant for now.
As an example, a recent example of that, Charles Globert Math, you all know Charles, is around a long time, longer than any of us actually in this arena. He claimed that zenith angles don't require a horizontal. Now, that's totally false, as a zenith angle is just the opposite from an elevation angle. It's the vertical down to the horizontal as opposed to the horizontal up to the vertical. But he also is supposed, or did at one time, I'm not sure if he teaches that now, but he did at one time claim to be a maths teacher and a geometry teacher. So I asked him, do you teach your students, or have you taught your students, that a zenith angle doesn't require a horizontal? And he wouldn't answer it. So if he did teach his students that, it would be wrong for a start. But his students would just go along with whatever he says because they wouldn't know any different. So that would be a great example. Now, if he doesn't teach his students that, then why doesn't he if it's so true? If it's the truth, why don't you teach it to your students? Is it because you don't want them coming back saying, this idiot told us this, and it's not true? Sometime later. But there you go. There's no guarantee that he hasn't taught his students that. He hasn't taught his students that a zenith angle doesn't require a horizontal. There's no guarantee he has not done that. So they'll just listen to him. They think, oh, this guy knows, he's the teacher, or he has all this stuff on the wall that shows that he has these qualifications. You know, and he's teaching high school level, you know, which is young people stuff, maths and stuff. Like, there's no guarantee he didn't do that. Now, I can't claim he did. He didn't admit he did. But the point is that, listen to what was just said, that could be used in any genre of teaching where all the students will just listen to the person teaching them because they'll just pre-assume that this person knows. But in that instance, Charles would be bringing his bias, a messed up bias and belief into his teaching life and teaching his students something that is absolutely and apparently not true. But they will just listen to him if he does teach it to them.
This second paragraph describes exactly what's going on. We appeal without demonstration to evidence that supports our position. We only introduce arguments or evidence that support the current accepted theories and omit or gloss over any evidence to the contrary. You brought up Charles Flat Earth Math. This is what the ballers do. Yeah? But this is an academic admitting this is what they do to the masses for indoctrination. So that we know it's an admission that the poor kids he's teaching don't have a chance. Because they're ridiculed later if they were to do it. And that it is, look at the pink, brainwash, propaganda. It's exactly what modern physics is. It's not science anymore. Yeah? Science is cause and effect. Yeah? It requires demonstration within the experiment. Yeah? Listen to what this guy's saying in terms of what's being taught. It's old. I remember it from back in the day, John. It's very poignant, I think, without demonstration. Undemonstrated, you know?
Yes, sir.
So it's not a big ask, is it, to ask for something to be proven? And all I'll say is, how would you like things to be proven? We prove things with a methodology that's been established, that's got us here today, that's got you the ability to have technology to make things. Yeah, it's called the scientific method. It requires demonstration of the cause of the effect. I'm done.
If it's a natural cause and effect relationship, I mean, you can know things that, like I said, it depends on your epistemology and the context of what you're trying to prove factually. If it's not a natural cause and effect relationship, then there are other epistemological methods to prove existence. For example, the whats and the is's. That doesn't mean they're not true. They're just not natural science. Hopefully everyone got that. You know, this is a sad day for me because this is the end of the science presentation. Just the end. What if I don't want it to end? What if I just, for next week, go back to the beginning and go through it over again? How about that? What do you think about that?
I've got a funny feeling, but by this time next week, there may be a need.
Yeah, I do. I was just, yeah. There may be a need, you think?
At least there's a semi-rebuttal.
Hey, y'all. So basically, there's been an intentional harvesting of a crop of a bunch of foods for like the past 5 generations. Practice. 4 generations, 5 generations, or more. Right? Fair to say?
I know I'm going to regret this, but go ahead and say that again.
No, I said, so there's been an intentional harvest of food by the academia community or the academia and system for the past 5 generations.
I wouldn't indict all of academia. That's too broad of a brush. But in the pseudoscience disciplines, that would be I would agree with that. Yes.
Okay, I guess I should have specified here in that category.
There is there. I think if you're listening to that, like I said, confession in that bit, I think no, that's much more applicable from the 20th century, as it's called historically. Yeah, I think 5 generations you'll see people questioning Einstein. Yeah, people didn't believe in that nonsense 5 generations ago. Yeah, and certainly teachers tended to. I can go back to the 70s and 80s when I'm educated. Critical thinking was one of the first things, whether I was doing science or history. Yeah, well, my history teacher was the guy that said, got into my head, critical thinking. It's what teachers used to do. Listen to I won't repeat it again. Kiwis took it off the screen. But re-listen to that confession by somebody that's at the university level, how he indoctrinates people. I don't think that was the purpose of universities. It may be what they are now, but that it's not embedded, that honest confession is probably where we're at now and have been for the past 20 or 30 years. D-Rose, I won't say 5 generations, because if it was, I don't think I'd be able to have seen my way through the shit, because I was taught critical thinking by good teachers, honest teachers.
My experience at university was nothing but these people are professionals, and I just echo what Adam said. Purely professional. I can only speak to my professors that I had experience with. They were always approachable. They'd answer all my questions, which I had a lot, maybe too many. And they were patient, and they answered them all respectfully. They never, even with their nonverbal communication. Now, a lot of my classmates had some nonverbal communications because as soon as every topic would come up, I'd pepper them with 10, 15 questions per topic. And if they made any subtopics out of those topics, then there were more questions coming. So my classmates wasn't too impressed with my behavior, but I really didn't care, right? But my professors, I can't think of one that was unprofessional and wasn't an honest person. Can't think of one. Yep. Does that help?
Fair to say last.
I think it's.
Is it fair to say last 3 generations, 2 generations?
No, D-Rose, it's a bit different than that. I think it comes down to which topic you choose to learn. If you choose to learn chemistry, then the chances of your professors teaching you a lot of rubbish is a lot less, is way more limited than if you decide to learn astrophysics. Now, that doesn't mean the astrophysics professor is a lawyer. They're just teaching you what they think is correct. But when it comes to chemistry, then you're obviously going to be demonstrating that what you're learning. So it's been demonstrated, you're being taught that when you mix this chemical here with this chemical here, this is the reaction. And then you're shown it happening and the reaction happening. So then you know. Whereas if you go to astrophysics, then you're told this happens here because of this thing over there, and then that other thing happens over there because of that. But all they can do is show you diagrams, and they have nothing. Most of it, obviously all of it, is based on a pre-assumption of a heliocentric model. Whereas chemistry and physics, if you're talking about the bare bones of it, has nothing to do with heliocentrism at all, or anything else. It's got to do with chemistry and physics. So that's the difference. Where it depends on what you choose to do. Neil deGrasse Tyson decided what he was going to do, which was astrophysics or whatever it is he did. But that's why he probably couldn't tell you about the scientific method, because whether he learned it as a young child at school or not, he maybe forgot it. But the point is that he couldn't tell you about it because he doesn't use it, because he works in the field of pseudoscience, and he doesn't. I'm not saying anything about him personally. I'm not saying he's not a lawyer or anything like that. It doesn't matter who it is that learns astrophysics, they're learning rubbish. That's it. When you learn physics, you're not learning rubbish. That's the difference. So I think
just to address D-Rose there. No, I want to support John. When I was talking about my school teachers that at an early age taught me critical thinking, because I've got critical thinking by the time I get to uni, and I believe a lot of the shit I'm taught. Yeah, I'm going into a chemistry lab, weighing stuff, and I'm trying to do an accurate titration, calculate things. And the first thing I've got to do is accurately weigh that, in inverted commas, a mass. And I've got lots of other stupid geeky, we all believe in the balls, Star Wars, everything back then, and variable gravity. So I'm going to my chemistry professor. Okay, well, sir, do I need to take into account where I am on the ball, its relative gravity, because weight is mass times g? Yeah. So I want to know the mass. So if I calculate the weight, surely when the chemical reaction occurs, you guys are differentiating mass and weight because it's got a multiplier in, yeah? So you're making that differentiation. So how should I adjust for that? So do we have to? Because we're trying to do accurate titrations. And we did these shit. I remember swilling bloody conical flasks so many hours, yeah? And then the write-ups, just the long calculations. And this is where the honesty and the genuineness, he's not a conspiratard, and he doesn't need to span anything. All he does is tell me the truth. Adam, weight is weight, wherever you are on the earth. The number of moles in that weight is the same. Now go on, son, and do your calculate. I always remember, go on, son, and that's what you're talking about genuineness. They don't have to expunge a conspiracy, but they wouldn't lie or cheat you in anything. Just put you in the right direction. No, you don't need to. It's not part of it. And there was knowledge in that, you know what I mean? And you move on. But that's what I'm talking about, genuineness. Even if you're bringing, it's like, you know, kid bringing Flat Earth today, just a genuine response. And that's not what we see, Flat Earth math. And those other teachers that Nathan sees is also, you know, that Matthew Learns guy, yeah? They don't give their students the wisdom of their knowledge. They portray, as that guy's just said, and then they ridicule if their authority to the edict is challenged. So shout out to my old school. One other thing on that, John, I remember in the final year, we came out of a chemistry lab, and one of our famous chemistry professors, because he was really cool, he used to have like knitted jumpers with benzene rings and chemical formulas on and stuff. He came storming out, and in front of us went, "You can F this. I am never, ever making and dumbing down the exams for people." I remember that. And that was 25 years ago. And if you look at the education level today, the equivalent qualifications people receive, they're so far behind. And I educate people who hold master's degrees, even though I only left with a BSc. Yeah, these guys come out with a master's degree and they know half what I know. It's very telling, the education system and what it used to be and what it is now. I think from that admission from the other guy, you can tell what it's become. Ramble finished.
All right, so what else we got? Oh, let me punchline. Not punchline. Let me advertise something. Hold on one second. Boop. Keep an eye out this week. I know I promised you. I didn't promise last week. I said keep an eye out for the treatment coming up. It's going to be for Dorkimer. I just the timing and stuff has been happening. I haven't got to it. I would keep a weathered eye out Thursday evening if I were you. If you want to tune into this. So there hasn't been a treatment here for a while. But I might get to this one on Thursday. Okay.
Thursday when Jaren and Nathan are having the loving. Won't we be listening to that?
I'm not going to be listening to that.
Mm-hmm. They're not live.
Oh. What time is that going to be, by the way?
I don't know. I don't know, actually. I assume something mutual between the US and here, but I've not heard.
Yeah,
it's like the Zuckerberg and Elon Musk fight. I don't know when that's happening either.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it going to be? The next question is it going to be aired somewhere?
I assume on the Discord channel.
On the Discord channel? That's not on YouTube.
Yeah, but I can still tune in, can't I?
Yeah. So I'm going to have to remain flexible, it looks like. I can be flexible to a point.
You could be like the undercard.
I'm not an undercard, dude.
You get that point. The warm up, you know.
You're the co-main.
Did somebody call me Conan?
Hey, don't knock the undercard. Sometimes the undercards are better fights than the main fight.
That's true. Sometimes that is the case. Or the warm-up band is better than the actual band. Yeah, that's happened. But just keep a weathered eye out. keep a weathered eye out there, folks. If it's not Thursday, it'll be Friday. I don't. It just it's coming.
You're busy Friday.
It's coming. No Ballbusters this Saturday, and no Ballbusters the next Saturday either. But the next Ballbusters, the next one will definitely, most assuredly, be on, because it's time. Be focused on refraction. Okay.
Okay.
That's I got my administrative announcements out of the way.
Actually, that's good. I'm thinking about it. That's good, because I've got another family birthday. Not next week, the week after. The most important family birthday of all.
The dogs?
Not mine. So I probably won't be there anyway. Cool. I think there might be the odd midweek Ballbusters. Can we have a midweek Ballbuster, an impromptu Ballbusters? I don't know what for.
You know what?
Neil, can you think of a reason for an impromptu Ballbusters?
Yeah, that might be the case. That, you know what, Adam, I didn't even think about it. You could be right. There could be an impromptu Ballbusters. That would be, when would that be? Friday?
I can't imagine it occurring before a Thursday, because I'm busy till then.
Put a cork in it, Adam. We got to put a cork in it, Adam. We got a super chat.
Oh.
From Liz, the Iron Maiden. I like that. I like that name. That's pretty cool. Thank you. There hasn't been too many of those today, by the way. My wife is kind of giving me that sideways look. Just to let you know.
Well, thank you, Liz, because Liz is my friend. The Iron, it's from the old school days. I've known Liz since I was at Iron Realm. Top lady.
Oh, really?
Friend of mine. Yeah, she's super cool.
Ah, okay.
Super cool to the point that she still bothers to listen to me ramble on. Yeah. And tweet me the odd time and that. So, yeah, a good friend of mine. Shout out, Liz.
So that's from the olden days.
When I was a younger man.
I got you. The stereo isomer guy.
That'd be the one that caught your attention.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Good days.
Yeah.
Exploring days, yeah.
Yep.
Battering Pete and Peter days.
Oh, brother, I don't miss that. Well, it seems like it's turning around again, right? I was so sick of dealing with their idiot concepts and pretender clown flat earthers parroting them. It's coming back around. I'm just not going to do it.
I don't think I'd do it again, mate. I remember humouring idiots like that.
Yeah.
And bothering to set up in my shed, yeah, electrolysis of salt water so I could produce electrolysis of water so I could produce hydrogen. I had to put a little bit of reactive stuff, ionic reaction. What did I use? I think it was just salt, yeah. But then demonstrating that I could produce hydrogen gas from it, just to disprove them, and then they went on. Well, then that was after they saw their arse when I was a bit late for the Iron Realm show. And you turn up and they suddenly found out I was a qualified pharmacist. So, I had a bit of understanding of chemistry somehow as a pharmacist. Saw their arse, got really arsey, because what they couldn't do, and it has many reflections today, what they couldn't do is just chat their shit to people that didn't have the ability to hold them to the words they were using.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, that's the criticism I have today, is to hold people to the words they use. When they explain things, they use words that they're not able to then explain. And it has a relevance to today and the arguments that occur in the flat earth community now. But like I said, back then, I bothered to set it up sit there with a little vodka glass in the water, you know, to gather the bowls. It's the only thing I could find, little vodka shot glass. Whether that's an indictment or not, I don't know.
It is.
But then, yeah, I know it was, but it was freely given.
There you
and
go.
then popping that.
There you go, sacrificing yourself for the greater good.
There you go. I have to admit I'm alcoholic just to demonstrate that you can get hydrogen gas. Yeah. But popping it live, it's on there. Yeah. It's out there from 7 years ago. You know what I mean? That's the bullshit we were doing back then. And it's frustrating that after all these years, even the scientific method is still being, I wouldn't even say argued, just clouded and confused by bullshitters.
Yep.
For their own different motivations.
Yep.
Which I can't speak to.
You got it. You're exactly right. You encapsulated it. Correct, Adam.
What is that, Brian? Is Brian there? Yeah, he just sent me a text claiming he first made hydrogen 3 weeks before me on a live show.
Yeah, he did. I think I remember it.
Yeah, I did that back then, yeah. That definitely happened.
God.
I just want to point out something about that. That joke comes from me saying on Nathan's, I pointed that out, or I did that, or I was saying that back at such and such a time. And Nathan uses that now as a joke against me. When what I wanted,
it's not against you. It's to introduce you.
Validation that I had said the thing.
Huh?
What's
Just
wrong
to
with that?
introduce you, I wanted your opinion. So I've used that as maybe a carriage of Conversation Street to bring you in. It's a compliment. If fundamentally, deep down, it is a compliment, isn't it? Because we're actually recognizing, a lot of the
I'm
stuff
not making nothing bad about it. What I was saying about that was that I ruined myself by trying to point to tell Nathan, no, actually, I was saying that back at this time, bro. Yeah, and it just became a joke. It's like I was looking for the credibility I thought I deserved, and what it became was a joke. So that's what I get. But I was listening to a little bit of what you're saying. Yeah, I remember some years ago. I didn't hear exactly the topic that was brought up when you were talking about electrolysis there, Adam. But I do remember people who had some kind of knowledge turning out a load of rubbish to people back years ago, and they weren't holding back. They were going to start churning out a load of stuff to people that without actually verifying any of these things, and they're still doing it. Ether and other things. They're still at it, but unless someone checks them, they'll continue to do it. Yet they're hypocrites because they'll point at the ballers and claim that's what they do. But the ballers aren't doing anything different from what you're doing. Glass houses, throwing stones, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's the sad thing. It's the repetition. It's almost like there aren't genuine people out there. They're controlled. Because you see these come in cycles, and they come and they go. Certain people remain, like Liz, shout out Liz again, yeah? They've been there through this. QE, Betty, you, Nathan, yeah? We see the patterns. Yeah? Doesn't mean I've got a cause and effect, but I can see a repetition of what's going on. And it's that's frustrating. Oh, bollocks, really? Look at what's coming. Oh, what's Thursday? Whether the scientific method proves things or not, really? 2023. We destroyed the ball with the scientific method, and now, amongst us pathetic flat earthers, we're going to argue whether science proves things. If it doesn't, does that mean it's a ball again then? Shit the bed. What a fucking waste of time.
Adam, you're roboting.
Sorry, Kiwi.
Probably best because I was swearing like a trooper there.
Yeah, you were.
Excuse me.
Yes, you were.
And it's born out of frustration. Genuinely, like I said, it's Pete and Petey time. We've won. Why are we denying the weapons that we won with?
Well, what's their standard? Let's just say they get rid of scientific method. Let's just say they somehow drown it out, right? So what's their standard to replace it? What do they have a standard? Because let's say they drown it out and give the majority of people, the big majority of people, the impression that it's no good, the uneducated, who won't get to hear us, who won't get to hear QE's presentations, who won't get to hear the facts of the situation. What's their standard after that for proving things scientifically? What's the standard? That science doesn't prove things. That's not a standard. That's an idiotic statement. You're basically saying at that point that the word science means absolutely nothing. That's what you're saying at that point. And scientific knowledge, natural science, all these statements, all these words, they mean nothing. What do they mean if they're of no use to anyone? If science doesn't prove anything, then why does it exist? What's the point of it? We need to look for what does prove stuff then, don't we? That they don't have a standard. If they're trying to get rid of a standard that they don't like because it disproves, they are rubbish, right? Let's be honest. And they don't understand even. Majority of them don't understand it. Some of them do, and they're still going against it. But what is their standard? Let's say they do win, they do drown us out, right? Not that they disprove us, because they can't do that. But if they do that, what's their standard? What have they got? What have you got? Come on, Jaron, what have you got? If you want to get rid of it, then you
got
need...
exactly that, Brian. You've got Jaron versus McToon, where we can agree to disagree.
No, he agreed to agree.
Yeah, it was a high-level cook, that, wasn't it? Yeah, well, that's where it's got to, isn't it? Because it started with agreeing to disagree, and then basically agreeing that in celestial navigation, and he doesn't even know what he's agreed to, by the way, because the ballers, Rufy, etc., have now admitted to me that there are no triangles in celestial navigation, because Adam's failure proof has forced them into admitting that in their world there is no geometry created that forms a triangle. You've just got two parallel lines that diverge due to, and this is the most ironic bit, they diverge due to perspective.
That's stupid.
It's the beginning.
And just fortunately, on screen right now on the slideshow is angle of elevation.
But that's where the ballers are at. Yeah, they've been the triangles in celestial navigation now, because it's been shown to them. If you do put it on the surface of a sphere and you put shit infinitely far away, all you end up with is parallel lines, and that's what they will now start to claim, because that is what they're claiming. There is no triangle. So they're now denying celestial navigation. I love them. Rufy, you're such a plum. You really are. You're a lovely plum. But what you feed me is it's just proof that you guys are just flipping from one alternative explanation against the obvious that it's done on a flat plane to another. Horizons, refracted horizons, looming, superlooming, triangles, not triangles anymore because everything's parallel. You guys have lost. It's so much fun. And the only disappointment is that we're ruining that on our own side by denying science proves things. Why? Just understand the methodology and you don't need to deny anything. Improve your understanding. Don't question the methodology.
Well, basically what they're claiming when they say that celestial navigation does not use triangles, what they're claiming is that there is no zenith from the GP point to the celestial body. They're claiming that that doesn't exist and that the navigator does not rock the sextant on the deck of a boat. They're not rocking the sextant to find the zenith.
Yeah, don't know that they're not using a sextant at all.
Yeah, you're right, 100%. I never disagree with that. That they actually can't even look at a sextant. They have no business.
Yeah, they're denying that because you can't get. That's how they measure an elevation. It all boils down to elevation angles to kill them right there. It's over. It's so ridiculous to deny that elevation angles aren't triangles. It's beyond retarded.
That's where they are.
Yeah, that's where they are. It's beyond Dunning-Kruger. It's way leagues beyond Dunning-Kruger. So, I don't know, boys.
They're parallel lines that at best, at infinity, at the point of dissolution or margin of error, yeah, which is the distance between where you are and the GP of the star. Actually, no, because this is where it gets even worse. Even the GP of the star isn't in the same position.
Exactly.
Yeah?
That doesn't exist anymore.
It's based on the width of the superimaginated width of the 93 of the star, which is what, 1 million, 2 million, 20. Well, when you're dealing with stars, probably 40 million miles across instead of the 900,000 miles across that we have for our sun. Yeah, whatever distance it is, all you're doing is losing visual acuity to the lineup. That's their claim. And from a geometric criticism, using parallel lines, guys, parallel lines. They don't even create a triangle, which is, I used the word earlier, yeah? It's quasi, yeah? I used it in quasi-experiment, quasi-law. This is quasi-celestial navigation because the underlying premise, cause and effect, the judicial process having a meaning somewhere, yeah, is quasi. In this case, it's a quasi-triangle because they're parallel lines. These jokers have lost. And look at what they've reverted to and had to admit. There's no triangles at all in celestial navigation. They're parallel lines. Cheers, Rufy.
Yeah, because what they do is the GP point will be the same distance from the observer, but they must measure that distance from an equatorial plane. And if you listen to astronomy use the equatorial plane at equinox, and they say it extends out into the celestial plane, which means that they're dealing with a bigger plane. So what's actually happening is they're taking, let's just say, a tangent, right, to their sphere, and I won't go into dip correction, okay, QE, I won't mention that, right? But they're taking a tangent and they're measuring an angle off a tangent to a celestial body, and that angle, the celestial bodies, right, won't have a straight down line to a point on the sphere.
No, you mentioned
have a diagonal line.
No, you mentioned an angle. You mentioned an angle. No. You can't have an angle.
I understand. But this is the point, though, right?
Give them the tangent.
Yeah,
let them have the tangent.
No, because it won't work with dip correction. No, but let me finish where I'm trying to go.
All right.
When they bring that down, right, via this diagonal line from the celestial body to the center of their globe, and they bring it down to their equatorial plane, they're also pre-assuming that the equatorial plane right, won't have any tilt, and it will be extending out into the celestial plane. So you can then finish off that triangle, right, from their out into their celestial plane, and but their GP point, it's a bit more difficult to without the diagram to show. But the GP point won't change. It's still the same distance from the observer. It's just an arc distance now that they will have measured via the center of their globe, and that's how they have to. They have to completely ignore what happens in reality and on the surface before they bring it down.
It's not that bright. Give them the tangent, show it on their maths. That guy that came on, this is my celestial navigator. Was it Matthew Learns? Did it? Yeah. And that's what I explored. And that's what Rufy's confirmed. Fundamentally, they are parallel lines. Give them the tangent, because when they take the tangent and they try to make it work on a ball, the reality is, see, in Adam's failure, which was me trying to locate the height of a star, and I failed miserably because I realized there wasn't a point where the lines intersected at a vertices, i.e. a triangle. There wasn't a point. And so I took points with a star having a GP on the equator. And I went 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south. All three lines are parallel. There isn't a point of intersection. There is no triangle in globe celestial navigation. There's only perspective, which is the irony.
No.
Yeah.
In the anti-flat Earth celestial navigation, there are no triangles.
Sorry. Correct, yeah. Yeah. But that's the reality of the geometry they're claiming. That's how you confirm the GP point, because you've got parallel lines, not triangles.
Yeah, I understand that, but what they have to do, as I've said earlier, is they must deny the zenith from the GP, the celestial body, in reality on the surface. But what they don't realise is that they can't deny that, number one, and number two, what they're bringing down to the centre of their globe, but they don't actually realise, because they don't fully understand it, is they're bringing a triangle down and making a second triangle underneath the first triangle. That's actually what they're doing.
This is why. No, Bri. This is a point of distinction. No, listen, just for a minute. I'm not challenging you. It's a point of distinction. This is why QE corrected me. Okay? This is Matthew Learns sticking a tangent on a ball, which is where the anti-flat earthers are at now, as opposed to the established methodology of how you explain celestial navigation on a ball by taking it to hell. This is where these guys have had to go to. They can't do it anymore. Look at Red's rhetoric. He's on a ball. And this is the implication of doing it on the outside of a spherical surface. Yeah? When angular change is related to Earth curvature, not anything else. Not perspective. Yeah?
I know that. I totally agree with that.
I'm not saying it for you. I hope the distinction's made for the audience. Yeah. So we're arguing. What you're going to now critique is dragging it to hell. Do you get me? That's not what they're doing anymore. They've abandoned hell, mate. They're sticking to the surface, the chumps.
Well, the thing about Miz is that what they don't realise is they say there's no triangles, but they have to. They're actually making two right-angled triangles. So basically, they're using two hypotenuse that are parallel to each other. That's actually what they're doing. But they don't realise they're doing that because they think the surface. They think that the celestial sphere dome model is the surface of their sphere, and they're back. All they're doing is hijacking that. I showed it before what they actually do and how it works, and all they're actually doing is hijacking the celestial dome model and hijacking what you just said, perspective. That's exactly what they're hijacking, and I've shown it orthographically. And see it works. We can measure an arc length that matches the blah blah blah, right? But I could make a globe of a different size. Not a different size, so I can show exactly what they do in diagram, and how in reality they must make the triangle, and then they must make the second triangle underneath it. But the distance, the horizontal distance between the observer and the GP point, will be will turn into an arc length. But what they'll actually have is two horizontal distances between an observer and a GP point, and an arc length that matches any of those distances in between it. It's really convoluted. I just have to make the diagram again and show it. That's what I'll do, because it's just a good diagram, just for people to use, that kind of way.
I just want to exemplify the point of drawing parallel lines. So if I take a elevation angle of, I don't know, 50 degrees, so that's 90 minus 50 is 40 times 60, 2,400 nautical miles. If we're drawing parallel lines, then those parallel lines, if they're accurate, mean that I'll be 2,400 miles off. As long as my parallel lines are accurate. Because I'm not drawing a triangle. I've drawn a parallel line. So the margin of error, to quote McToon, via the geometric assumption that the ball Earth postulates by doing this on the surface of a sphere, is to put in a margin of error of the thing I'm measuring. It doesn't tell me where I'm at. It's farcical. They're not creating triangles anymore.
It is farcical.
They're
And,
not.
and while you guys been talking, I've had these elevation angles up showing each one is a right angled triangle the whole time. So they have to deny that in celestial navigation that you use elevation angles. That's it. It's over. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is, folks.
I want to find.
Go ahead.
I'll just give me a second. I'm going to get a quote from Rufy.
See, folks, on screen, what the anti-flat earthers are saying, that elevation angles aren't triangles. That's the point where they're at now. Jaren, you idiot moron. That's where they're at now, folks. It just look at these pass you by. I mean, this is preposterous. What is an angle of elevation, anti-flat earthers? Well, if it's not a right angle triangle, what is it? That's what I want to know. Or are you not acquiring elevation angles? What's your play here? This is one of the stupid. I thought evolutionists were stupid. This little fiasco right here, I don't know. It might surpass them. I had to think about that one. I don't know. This looks like a sextant. These look like right angle triangles to me. Again, right angle triangles. Right from the handbook of celestial navigation. You have to deny. That's what I told him. I think they caught on. Because they have to deny the very existence of sextants in the anti-flat earthers worldview. They cannot admit that sextants exist. Because they're angle of elevation tools. You can't get an elevation angle off a curved baseline. It's basic geometry. It's all over. Next.
Are you there, John?
I used to be here.
Good, you are. I meant because I've had to switch apps and I didn't. Right. Do parallel. Right. So I asked Rufy, quick question. Do the lines, the yellow lines, because we've got a diagram, as I've previously described, do the lines ever meet? And he comes back with, what is it? It's just a load of maths. So I said, I'll take that as a no then. He says, they are treated as parallel. You're supposedly the mathematician. You see how it comes with that, Tom? You're supposedly the mathematician. Well, that's why I'm freaking asking the question, doofus. But anyway, although technically speaking, since the star is larger than the Earth, parallel lines would still hit.
Oh, you clipped off. Adam, you clipped off.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Right. So he makes the claim and confirms that the point of intersection is at the star. So he's invoking perspective here. Because I've asked him, do they ever meet? And he replies with, do parallel lines meet? I remind you that people call you the mathematician. So I say, so we agree they do not meet because they are parallel. Parallel lines do not meet. Well done. Quote Rufy.
What a moron.
Yeah. That's their admission. Okay. And that's fundamental to as what you pick me up on. This is now anti-flat earth celestial navigation. It's no longer taking it to hell. They've abandoned that, because when you take it to hell, you're using triangles. They've been triangles, and now they do it on the outside of a ball and invoke. And I'm saying, this is the irony, and invoke perspective, guys. Jokers.
Yeah. This is jokes.
Hey, you gonna read super chat, or do I have to do it?
Oh, we got a super chat?
Yeah, but I want to do it though.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, this is from Original D Rose, super chat to QE Live. It says, sing this country style, QE. And I thought you was gonna jack it up, so it says, I'm not falling, earth's just rising. Don't get me wrong, it sounds psychotic. I'm not afraid to take that leap of faith because Earth's coming up to meet me face to face.
Jesus. Thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I wouldn't have sang that correctly. Let me try it anyway. I'm not falling, Earth's just rising. Don't get me wrong, and sound cat. No, I fucked that up. I'm not falling, Earth's just rising. Don't get me wrong, it's on. That just doesn't flow, man. See, the wrong and the sounds they're too close together.
Yes, it does. Don't get me wrong, it sounds psychotic.
Okay, let me try that again. I'm not falling, Earth's just rising. Don't get me wrong, it sounds psychotic. I'm not afraid to take that leap of logic. Oh, crap, I screwed it up. Ah, the heck with it. Bad Moon Shadow, I got that covered. Bad Moon Shadow, stretching across my path. All right, we're getting silly now. All right, what do you guys got left? Adam, you around? Adam,
I'm still here. Adam, I think he's looking for something to share with you.
Oh, is he? What? You're roboting, dude. Oh, good thing I didn't exit out of that one. I would have closed the whole show. You back? No, you're not back. You're roboting. No. No. Try again. Let's see where he's at. Adam, you got 2 minutes. 2 minutes to reach minimum safe distance. We'll give him 2 minutes, folks. My trigger's on the hammer. My finger's on the trigger. All right, what do we got?
Is he trying to sign back in, log back in or something?
Yeah, he's
My back.
Oh, you're lucky because you're a minute 30 seconds into reaching minimum safe distance. Go on.
I don't know what happened. I think it was you and D-Rose singing that just freaked my phone out, and it just like crashed.
Excuse me.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. Maybe it was just overwhelmed the phone with the power of your voices. I heard QE miss a note, and then it did crash. Actually,
I didn't miss a note. I missed the words, man. It just didn't flow. I didn't make it up. That's why it didn't flow for me.
Yeah, wrong emphasis.
Exactly. So what else, what do you got left? Because I'm gonna ask you to take us home.
Okay. Oh, tell you what, you know what I've got right now? The reason it cut out, I've got it won't you're singing. I had to go down and get a little refill. But instead of wine, I thought I'd have the next door neighbour runs an agriturismo, and they make their own wine and liqueurs. And this is, I talked about ratafia, which is from cherries. This is a prune one, but the dehydration I have, prunes are very useful. Only from a medical point of view. So this just a little treatment I'm having. I don't know. I'll take you home.
Take us home.
A lot of crap talked. Yeah, a lot of crap talk tonight. A little bit sarcastic, some of it, but fundamentally, please grasp why it's frustrating. What destroyed the ball, and that methodology empowers us. Please don't give it away. Embrace it, and more fundamentally, understand it. Understand its power, and understand its limitations. Yeah? And if you can do that, whatever, even if ether exists, I've got no problem. But let's use that methodology of cause and effect to help us understand and prove things to each other. And let's stop attacking each other. And let's stop attacking, like I said, the tool that helps us all, whichever side of this ship we're on, destroy the ball. And remember that whichever side of this debate we're on, we're 1%. And we're supposed to be in this, try and wake the 99, you know? Not argue over the tool that will destroy. Yeah? And waking up the 99. I'm done, QA. Thanks.
I think that
Whatever.
I think everything is really crazy. What I think is crazy, I think that everything is the same thing. And it's just different versions of it. Everything is water. Everything is light, matter, water.
Are you high right now?
All the same thing, just different vibrations.
And everything vibrates. And ultimately, we have to become masters of vibration to work through the dimensions of this plane. This is the third dimensional plane. So this physical.
Whatever.
Physical. This is the physical plane. Now, if we close our eyes.
Whatever.
And we envision something, our brain doesn't know the difference between a thought and actual reality.
You go, girl. So I would say the creator exists beyond it, like within it maybe, but
which one is it then?
Yeah, that's what I think. I have heard that about like how all these seemingly like divine properties of water. You can attribute all kinds of things to water, like it morphs around any situation, like it always adapts to the situation. It seems to, there is no way to get rid of it. It's perpetually in a cycle as if it were omnipresent.
This is what it is, okay? I said empty your mind.
He's got that covered.
Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
And outside
everyone dies when people die, it's because of dehydration. Even if you're shot, it's the water leaving your body.
What about if you drown?
You know, if you don't have water, you're dead. Everything. Water's delivered everywhere angelically. I don't know.
Or they will say things like, dark matter 100% exists. We know for a fact that dark matter has to exist, but we don't know what it is. So, how could you know it exists?
So I don't agree with people making claims about ether and exactly what it is, and even the name.
So, how could you know it exists?
You hear that, Mr. Anderson? That is the sound of inevitability.